Coming up on the September 19th edition of Sports Extra, we update you on the sexual assault case involving football player Alan Artis.
The Tar Heels made their 2016 Kenan Stadium debut against James Madison. Find out how the Tar Heels fared against the Dukes.
And outside the stadium, students raised money for a young fan whose dream is to see his beloved Heels in Maui. All that and more. Sports Extra starts
right now.
From the University of North Carolina School of Media and Journalism, covering the full range of Tar Heel athletics. This is Sports Extra.
Hello and welcome to the September 19th edition of Sports Extra. I'm Caleb Waters.
And I'm Rivers Upchurch. Thanks for joining us. Now, the football team was without the services of reserve linebacker and special teamer Alan Artis in the game against James Madison, and there's no indication about when or if the player will return. The allegation of rape against Artis has received national attention. Let's go live now to Lindsay Sparrow, who is at the football stadium, to bring us up to date. Lindsay? Looks like we're having a little trouble getting back to Lindsay. We'll get back to her later on in the show. But let's move on. Let's move on to football.
The state of North Carolina has taken another major financial hit from large in response to House Bill 2. Joining us now in studio is political analyst Brett Thompson to break it down. Brett, what's new with HB 2?
Thanks, Caleb. Just a heads up, the governor's office the Public Facilities Privacy and Security Act, but for the sake of brevity and transparency, I'm just going to call it HB 2 if that's all right. The NCAA and the ACC both made major statements against HB 2 last week, pulling championships out of the state of North Carolina for the academic year. Let's start at the top with the NCAA. On Tuesday, the organization pulled 7 championship events from the Tar Heel State, including the first and second rounds of the NCAA men's basketball tournament. That move will cost the state roughly $20 million in lost revenue. And from an on-court perspective, the move hurts UNC basketball, who has gone 33-1 in tournament games in North Carolina and whose last 4 national championship runs started in its home state. Now, just one day later, the ACC dropped a bombshell of its own, pulling all off-campus championships out of its home state, those shown right here. Most notably, football in Charlotte and baseball in Durham are out. And that is a huge deal, especially considering how difficult the decision had to be for ACC Commissioner John Swofford, who was both born and raised in North Carolina. The ACC is synonymous with North Carolina, and it just sent a message that it has a zero-tolerance policy for discrimination. And that's an important thing to remember. This so-called bathroom bill is not about bathrooms. While the main selling point of the bill is to protect women and children from men in bathrooms, the bill states that you cannot be discriminated in the state based on race, religion, color, national origin, or biological sex. It's not about what's written there, but rather what's left out, and that's the LGBTQ community. Opponents say the bill opens homosexual and transgender residents up to legal discrimination, and that's what these organizations are taking a stand against. Now, Pat McCrory, the governor of North Carolina, has strongly supported HB 2 since signing the bill, although this weekend he did show signs of relenting. McCrory dropped his lawsuit against the Obama administration related to HB 2 and announced that he would call for a special session to repeal the bill if the city of Charlotte repeals its anti-discrimination ordinance that inspired the NCGA to write HB 2 in the first place. I know that's a lot. But earlier today, Charlotte Mayor Jennifer Roberts declined that offer, saying the state should make the first move. Now, critics have pointed out that this feels like a political move by McCrory to deflect the blame off of his office onto that of Charlotte officials. So as of right now, HB 2 still stands. But regardless of what moves could be made to strike down the bill, NC sports fans can clear off their schedule this academic year because championship events will not be coming to North Carolina. Caleb?
That was Brett Thompson in studio. Thanks, Brett.
All right, we're going to try it again to get in touch with Lindsay Sparrow at the football stadium. Lindsay?
Thanks, Rivers. The UNC athletic program indefinitely suspended Alan Artis on Tuesday after UNC sophomore Delaney Robinson said he raped her in February of 2016. So why exactly is this Alan Artis case still going on today? Well, according to Robinson, it's because the university has been ineffectively dealing with her allegations. Robinson said in a press conference on Tuesday, I did everything a rape victim is supposed to do. I reported it. I allowed the rape kit to be taken. I gave a statement. I cooperated with the law enforcement and Title IX office. But 6 months later, the university has done nothing. Robinson reached out to the media presenting 2 self-sworn warrants, charging Artis with misdemeanors of sexual battery and assault on a female, declaring the university has yet to make any progress on her case.
And if this happened to me, who else has been hurt and too scared to come forward? And what other cases are being swept under the rug by the university? I'm taking this public stand not for me, but for the other students on campus who are not protected, despite what the university says.
Unfortunately, this situation is not new to UNC. Back in 2013, 5 women also came forth against the university, claiming they failed to take proper action against their rape allegations. Chancellor Carol Fold addressed the situation, saying the issues involved in sexual assault are challenging. Inevitably, some will walk away from the process disagreeing with the outcome. That does not reflect in any way on the integrity of our employees or our process. On Wednesday, Artis turned himself in to the Orange County Sheriff's Office and was released later that afternoon on a $5,000 bond. What would help clear things up for the university is to release the recording of the Department of Public Safety's interviews with Artis and Robinson. She claims she was treated unfairly by the university, and the investigators seem to side with the athlete in the content and tone of their questions.
It's Lindsay Sparrow, live at Kenan Stadium. Thanks, Lindsay. And now, despite all of that going on in the state of North Carolina this weekend, they did actually play a football game on Saturday. We'll start it out. James Madison came out and punched the Heels in the face. That guy's pretty fast. Look at him go. They matched Carolina score for score, 21-21 at the end of the first quarter, and the defense was not happy. They silenced the crowd at Kenan Stadium. But when the defense was frustrated early on, the offense had to pick it up. Mac Hollins says it's touchdown time, and that's because they dialed up the flea flicker to Ryan Switzer, who was running wide open down the field, hauls it in and takes it to the house. And Hollins got in on the action too. It's not Tuesday night, but we got Maction off the play action. The defense got its act together, allowing only 7 points in the last 3 quarters, and the Heels run away with this one, 56-28. For more about the Tar Heels win, let's bring in football analyst Paul the Bandman Beam. Paul, what stood out to you most about the game on Saturday?
Well, Rivers, there was a ton of offense on both sides of the ball, and the defense looked absolutely atrocious in the first quarter. But what really stood out to me was the number of penalties called on Carolina. The Heels racked up 10 penalties for 110 yards. What's worse is that a lot of these penalties were personal fouls, which is bad for 2 reasons. It's obviously bad because personal fouls are 15-yard penalties, but also they are avoidable. Personal fouls are almost always due to boneheaded mistakes, and that can really cost a team. It didn't come back to bite them in the rear this game, but when they're playing tougher opponents later on in the season, it's going to come down to the little things, and penalties can be a big difference maker.
So, Paul, you mentioned earlier you thought the defense was pretty bad in the first quarter. Why did it take so long for the Heels to get going defensively?
No, Caleb, I'm pretty sure I said the defense was atrocious in the first quarter. Confused before the snap, which means they are playing reactionary defense. If you're trying to react to what the offense is doing rather than trying to diagnose the offense pre-snap, you will make mistakes. Let's take a look at this play. James Madison is going to run a simple route concept where the wide receiver runs a slant and the halfback runs a wheel route out of the backfield. The quarterback has to read the outside corner, and you're going to see the corner bite on the slant. Once the corner takes the bait, there's no one left on that side of the field, and that leaves the halfback wide open on the wheel route. And he's going to take it in for the easy touchdown. Carolina has gotten off to slow starts on defense in every game this year. The defense has allowed 42 points in the first quarter through 3 games, compared to just 40 in the other 9 quarters combined. So basically, guys, if UNC can't get the offense going in the first quarter, the Heels are going to be playing catch-up for the rest of the game.
Well, Gene Chizik better wake him up because Pitt is coming to Chapel Hill this Saturday, and the defense will have to face star running back James Conner.
You're right about that, Rivers. Conner is back after missing all the 2015 season battling cancer. He looks great physically and seems like he hasn't missed a step from his 2014 ACC Player of the Year campaign. Pitt is going to feed Connor the rock. As you see in 2014, he had nearly 300 carries on the year. Connor is a physical runner who isn't afraid to straight run you over. Carolina defenders are going to have to wrap him up. If they try to arm tackle Connor, they're going to look a lot like this Villanova defender right here. One area that he's really improved is his receiving. He runs a little halfback angle route right here and makes a great grab in traffic for the touchdown. He's a nightmare defensively, and he's going to be the centerpiece of the defensive game plan.
All right, Paul, so James Conner is a very dangerous weapon. You've given us the rundown. How do you see Saturday playing out? Who you got and why?
Well, fans hope the Heels get back their best defensive lineman, Nazir Jones, who sat out the James Madison game because of concussion. He'll be able to help stuff the run and force Nate Peterman to throw the ball downfield for Pitt. Even if he can't go though, I see no reason why Carolina shouldn't win this game. The Heels offense is just too powerful. Carolina should get the win and start 1-0 in conference play.
Well, Paul, we hope you're right. Football analyst Paul Beam in here dropping some knowledge on all of us. Thanks, Paul.
A young boy's dream to see the Tar Heels play basketball at the Maui Invitational in November is about to come true, thanks to the generosity of many. Donnie Holloway reports.
Thank you. Have a good day.
As hundreds of people lined up for the first home football game of the season at UNC, many students gathered for a special cause to help make Will's dream come true. Before being diagnosed with a brain tumor, he loved playing all kinds of sports, especially basketball.
His wish was to go to the Maui Invitational because he's a big basketball fan and he's also a big Tar Heel fan. We tried to bring Hawaii to Kenan Stadium for Will.
And the football game proved to be the perfect setting to reach supporters.
There's lots of people, going through, and lots of people with kids who see things that are like, oh, I want to have that, or and lots of people with more money than college students.
People even stopping by to write encouraging words for Will. Volunteers sold things such as Lays and ice pops to raise money, and some donators even got their faces painted. The proceeds will go to the Make-A-Wish Foundation of Eastern North Carolina, the group responsible for sending Will to Hawaii. Marianne's team alone raised more than $1,500, making dreams come true and showing support for one of the Heels' most avid fans. That's the Carolina way. In Chapel Hill, I'm Donnie Holloway reporting.
Trip, you can visit his GoFundMe page called Will2 Maui. Now they're not our rivals,
but it still stinks to lose to them. The Pack hurt the pride of one of UNC's most historically dominant teams. Next on Sports Extra.
After a loss to Southern Cal, the 7th-ranked UNC women's soccer team looked to turn things around against NC State Friday afternoon. Now, Wolfpack midfielder Kia Rankin scored in the 67th minute to give State the 1-0 lead, and despite UNC's 12 shots on goal, the Heels could not put the ball in the back of the net. UNC saw its 14-game winning streak against its unranked rivals from Raleigh snapped, and this is now the second game in a row that Carolina has been kept off the score sheet. The suddenly struggling Tar Heels hope to turn their luck around Thursday as they host Virginia Tech at 7 p.m. at Fetzer Field.
On Friday, the second-ranked men's soccer team took on unranked Pitt in a defensive battle. Early on, the Panthers fiercely protected their goal, but that couldn't hold the Heels back forever. Carolina stayed on the attack until defender Walker Hume, getting the assist from his brother Tucker, finally broke through the stifling defense on this game-winning goal, giving UNC a 1-0 victory and a 5-1 record on the season.
The volleyball team is back home after a successful weekend at the Horned Frog Challenge on the campus of TCU. The Tar Heels earned a 3-0 sweep against Sam Houston State on Friday afternoon. Middle hitter Beth Nordhorn had her best career day with 9 kills and 7 blocks. ACC Player of the Week Taylor Leith also had an impressive match with 17 digs and 8 kills. Now, the volleyball team's 3-0 win against the SMU Mustangs marked the second sweep of the weekend for the Heels and the 5th of the season. And Carolina was on a roll, but In the final match of the weekend, North Carolina fell 2-3 to TCU, and redshirt sophomore Taylor Leith was named MVP of the challenge with a total 33 kills and 29 digs. UNC won the challenge despite losing that final match to TCU, standing at number 8 with an 8-2 record. The team will be playing against NC State this Thursday in Raleigh.
Now moving on to men's volleyball team. Actually, I'm hearing now that we don't have a men's varsity volleyball team, but Jess Allen tells us we do have a men's club team.
The men's club volleyball team practices 3 times a week. 1 to 2 times a month, they play in tournaments within the area. Senior Jonathan Witten says they don't have a lot of publicity because men's volleyball just isn't that popular in our state.
Men's volleyball just in North Carolina just really isn't a big thing for high school and younger for guys. I think just culturally, people grow up like on the West Coast playing volleyball at a younger age, but just in North Carolina, high school volleyball is non-existent pretty much for guys.
Because of this, Jonathan says about half of their members are out-of-staters. Club president Jack Cordes says this group deserves more attention.
I don't think we have that much publicity. It would be cool, I guess, because sometimes like Duke will come and play here and they'll have like a band of people, like fans who come over. So that's pretty cool to see. I mean, I'd like to have something like that.
There are obvious differences between the two teams.
They have a coach. It's just a different dynamic.
And yet, the two teams depend on each other. The men's club team works the varsity women's home matches. The varsity women's team provides funding for the club team. Jack says anyone can try out. The only requirement is that you work hard. In Chapel Hill, I'm Jessica Allen.
Now, the club men's team hasn't played a tournament yet this season, but the Heels went 6-4 at Nationals last spring, and they hope to make it to Nationals in Kansas City at the end of this season. And how can some Carolina students band together to create an intimidating atmosphere for field hockey foes?
By starting up the Focky Band, of course. Stay tuned.
The UNC field hockey team has a 26-9 goal differential through its first 8 games this season. As if the Heels needed any help, a new marching band project could be making them even tougher to deal with. John Assetti explains.
With a 6-2 record and a number 3 ranking, the UNC field hockey team has plenty to be excited about. And the team is getting a boost from the newly created field hockey band. A pilot project for marching band this season, the field hockey band, Focky Band for short, is trying to bring some extra energy to Francis Henry Stadium.
One of the things that Coach Shelton said is that she wants to make the teams that come to our school not want to come to our school because of the band.
Head coach Karen Shelton is excited about the new partnership between the team and the band.
We play better when the band is here. It helps us, there is no question. And I think they were amazing today. Really great energy. And it's a great feeling for our team, I know that.
Junior forward Gab Major, the Tar Heels' leading scorer, and senior back and captain Julia Young are big fans of the Focky Band.
There's been so much more energy, and we can always hear them in the stands. They're so supportive. Everyone really likes them.
Just having them at home and being able to have them for every game from now on is going to be a really good advantage because it kind of throws the other team off, and it gets us really hyped to play, so it's really nice having them.
With glowing testimonies from players and coaches alike and 2 wins in as many home games, the Focky Band seems to be making a real impact.
Yeah, well, first of all, they're a really good team, and Focky Band or not, they're going to win a lot of games. We're always trying to find the best way to service and support all the teams. So that's my goal, is to help create ways that collectively we can make really special atmospheres for all of our teams.
In Chapel Hill, I'm John Assetti, reporting.
The field hockey team's next game will be against top-ranked Syracuse this Friday night, and yes, the Focky Band will be there. The field hockey team bounced back from its loss to Boston College during a trip to Maine this weekend. The third-ranked Tar Heels beat the Maine Black Bears in a commanding 3-1 fashion Sunday. Carolina got out to a quick start, scoring the first goal in just 7 minutes. UNC was able to score on 3 of its 10 shot attempts with 2 goals from senior Lauren Moyer. The Heels hope to keep this momentum going as they now return home to take on number 1 Syracuse on Friday and the number 2 ranked Blue Devils on Sunday.
The men's golf team traveled to Illinois this weekend for the Olympia Fields Fighting Illini Invitational. UNC finished in 4th place, right there behind Texas A&M with 866 total strokes, just barely edging out Florida State. Sophomore Joshua Martin was the Heels' top performer this weekend, shooting a nice 69 on Saturday and a 212 overall, tying for 10th place individually.
The women's tennis team opened its fall season at the Bonk Invitational in Cary during the weekend. Sophomore Jessie Aney dominated with her serve, securing a singles victory in the gold bracket for the Tar Heels. And although there were some stumbles, Carolina got right back up, clinching 2 more bracket wins. Sophomore Chloe Ouellette-Pizer also had an impressive showing in the 3-day tournament, firing off solid forehand winners and taking down her LSU opponent to reach the semifinals. Coming up next, after recruiting for the new season,
the women's rugby team sets the bar high for its new players.
the women's rugby team has spent the first couple of weeks of the season on the lookout for new players ready to step up and take bone-jarring hits while wearing very little protective gear.
Sound appealing? Sports Extra's Laura Brache with the story.
Agility, speed, and contact. That's the scene at UNC women's rugby practices, working hard after making it to the Final Four in USA College 15s and top 10 in 7s last season. Team President Malia Surin is excited about 2016.
This is probably my first year where I've had this many new recruits come in and be so excited about contact, which is really great because that's usually a huge hurdle for this team. It's something that takes a while to get over, which is part of the reason why we move very slowly, the other part being safety, but definitely it's inspiring to see.
Head coach Jonathan Atkinson has been with the team since spring of 2010, bringing his experience from working with other national teams.
So really the challenge for us every year, and the challenge in any college environment, is you're always going to be graduating your most experienced players and you have to replace them. So people will talk about it being a rebuilding year. There's no such thing as a rebuilding year. Every year is a reloading year, because what we have to do is take players that have never played the game before and in a year get them up to speed enough that they can be competitive on a nationally competitive team.
The team replaces former 8 Katie Lutton and prop Tanya Houston, along with now USA Eagles pro players Kimber Rozier and Naya Tapper, who got a shot at this year's Olympic Training Center.
It was great. It was fun. It was exciting. And it was different because it was something I didn't plan. And I kind of took a jump of faith and said, okay, I'm just going to try this.
Something returning members can use to set the bar for the almost 40 new players this year. In Chapel Hill, I'm Laura Brache reporting.
Now, Rivers, I don't know if you can tell just by looking at my athletic frame here, but I don't have a ton of experience with rugby. I do have some friends who've played, and it looks pretty dangerous. I might stick to football with the pads.
Well, I don't know. You're a surprisingly strong guy. I think you could handle your own on the rugby field. But yeah, I mean, I played football for 8 years, and all it cost me was 3 broken arms. I can't imagine what it would have been like if I'd have played rugby, but probably would have also been pretty rough.
That does it for this edition of Sports Extra.
Thanks for watching. Have a good night.